Urgent Cleveland Browns fans. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here, we bring you daily videos with the latest Cleveland Browns updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Alright, Browns fans, get ready, because today we have some major news that could shake up the team's offensive landscape for the upcoming season. You might have heard a little buzz around the NFL circles lately, but what we're about to discuss is truly significant for Cleveland. It's about a player who's had quite a roller coaster career in recent years, a wide receiver who's known for his explosive plays, his route running ability, but also for some turbulent moments that nearly derailed his career altogether. Yes, I'm talking about Diontae Johnson, the veteran wideout who, as of recent reports, is set to join the Cleveland Browns. That's right, Browns fans, this move might just be one of those game changers we've been waiting for, especially considering the team's recent struggles at the wide receiver position. Now, before we dive into the details of this signing and what it could mean for Cleveland, let's take a step back and understand who Diontae Johnson is, what his journey has been like, and why this move might be so pivotal. Johnson's story is a tale of talent, setbacks, and resilience. The guy burst onto the scene with the Pittsburgh Steelers, drafted in the third round back in 2019, and almost immediately proved his worth. In his rookie season, he showed glimpses of becoming a reliable weapon for Ben Roethlisberger, and by 2020, he truly broke out with over 1,000 receiving yards and multiple touchdowns. That year, he established himself as one of the league's most promising young receivers, especially noted for his quickness and precise route running. Browns fans, you remember that season well, because Johnson was a nightmare for defenses, constantly creating separation and making tough catches. But as with many NFL stories, things didn't stay smooth for long. The following seasons brought their fair share of challenges. Johnson's 2021 season was still solid, over 1,000 yards again, but by 2022, cracks started to show. There were questions about effort and consistency, and his connection with the Steelers' offense seemed to waver. Still, he managed to sign a big extension worth around $36.7 million over 2 years in 2022, which indicated the team's faith in his talent. Yet, even with that contract, the turbulence wasn't over. Last season, 2023, turned out to be quite a whirlwind for Johnson. His year was marred by an extremely turbulent chain of events that saw him traded twice, waived twice, and involved in multiple teams, first to Carolina, then to Baltimore, and finally to Houston, all within a span of just a few months. This kind of movement, Browns fans, is rarely seen for a player with Johnson's talent, and it speaks volumes about his recent struggles to find stability. Let's break down what happened in those tumultuous months. Johnson's season began with high hopes in Pittsburgh, but after requesting a trade, he was moved to the Carolina Panthers in a trade that sent cornerback Diontae Jackson the other way. Naturally, expectations were high that he'd bounce back in a new environment, but things didn't quite go as planned. Johnson then sought a trade from the Panthers, which didn't help his reputation at the time, and from there, his journey into the AFC North began to look more like a free fall. Baltimore picked him up in a trade involving some late-round draft picks, which initially seemed like a decent move. After all, Johnson's experience and playmaking ability could have been a boon for the Ravens. But the reality was quite different. His time in Baltimore was marred by controversy. He was suspended after refusing to enter a Week 13 game against the Eagles following an injury to Rashad Bateman. That incident, combined with his subsequent release, painted a picture of a player who was perhaps battling some internal issues or at least struggling with team cohesion. He then landed on the waiver wire, claimed by Houston, but his stint there was brief and unproductive. He played very limited snaps, only 16 across 2 games, and was waived again shortly after. This whirlwind of movement and disappointment might make some fans skeptical about Johnson's future, but if you look at his past, his first 5 seasons, there's no denying his talent. He's a player who has consistently produced, averaging over 680 yards per season from 2019 to 2023, and in 2021, he even eclipsed 100 yards receiving. His route running is considered top tier, and he's known for his ability to create separation, a trait that's highly valued in today's NFL. But what's been missing lately is consistency, reliability, and perhaps a bit of that spark that made him so dangerous early in his career. Now, Browns fans, the big question is, why are Cleveland interested in a player who's been through so much upheaval? Well, the answer lies in the team's current status at wide receiver. Last season, Cleveland was heavily reliant on Amari Cooper, who is still a top-tier receiver, but the team hasn't really found a consistent second option. They traded away Elijah Moore after a somewhat underwhelming stint, and their draft didn't bring in a high-profile receiver to fill that void. So, bringing in Diontae Johnson is a calculated risk, one that could pay off if he manages to regain his form and rekindle the chemistry he once had with a quarterback. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Johnson's reunion with Kenny Pickett, the Steelers' former quarterback, could be a storyline to watch. Remember, Johnson set an NFL record in 2019 for most receptions in a season without a touchdown, 86 catches in total. That's impressive, but it also highlights a frustrating aspect of his game, finding the end zone. He scored 5 touchdowns last season, which is decent, but the Steelers' offense was trending downward, and by the time Johnson left Pittsburgh, there was a sense that the team's confidence in him was waning. Still, if Johnson can re-establish himself in Cleveland, especially with the new quarterbacks developing behind the scenes, he could become a valuable weapon. Cleveland's quarterback situation is quite interesting heading into 2024. They have a mix of rookies and veterans, with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders trying to make their mark, and Joe Flacco brought back as a seasoned backup. The Browns haven't committed to a long-term starter yet, and that creates both uncertainty and opportunity. Having a receiver like Johnson, who's proven he can make plays when given the chance, might be exactly what the Browns need to boost their passing game. Remember, Cleveland's offense has been somewhat inconsistent over the past few seasons, and part of that is due to the lack of a true gamebreaker outside of Cooper. Johnson's speed, agility, and route running could help stretch defenses and open up lanes for the rushing attack as well. Speaking of the team's overall outlook, the Browns have been building a solid core on defense, with stars like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward leading the charge. But their offense has been a work in progress. The addition of Johnson might give them that extra spark they need to be more explosive and unpredictable. Plus, with the NFL evolving into a league where passing efficiency and big play potential are king, Browns fans should be excited about this move. Johnson's experience, combined with his upside, gives Cleveland a chance to add depth and versatility to their receiving core, which has been somewhat inconsistent. Now, let's talk about expectations. Browns fans, this is not a guaranteed fix, and Johnson will have to prove himself all over again. His recent history has shown flashes of brilliance but also some mental and effort-related issues that have kept him from reaching his full potential. But if he can tap into that former form, becoming that high-end route runner and reliable target, he could help elevate this offense to a new level. Remember, the Browns have a coaching staff that emphasizes discipline and effort, and if Johnson can embrace that environment, he might just turn the page and become an integral piece of Cleveland's puzzle. Looking ahead to the season, the Browns are aiming high. They want to contend for a playoff spot, and having a diverse, explosive passing game is part of their blueprint. The addition of Diontae Johnson might seem like a low-risk, high-reward move, one that could pay dividends if everything clicks. It's also a statement that Cleveland isn't content with just relying on their defense and running game. They're looking to develop a balanced attack that can challenge the best teams in the league. Johnson's signing is an intriguing development, and it's going to be fascinating to see how he adapts to a new environment, new expectations, and a fresh start. Now, Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this signing? Do you believe Johnson can recapture his peak form and become a legitimate threat in Cleveland? Do you think he's the missing piece that can push the Browns over the edge? Or are you skeptical, worried about his recent ups and downs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because your opinion really matters. This move could turn out to be a steal or a gamble that doesn't pay off, only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Cleveland is making moves to improve their roster, and Diontae Johnson might just be the spark they've been searching for. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cleveland Browns. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Cleveland Browns news. Whether it's roster moves, game analysis, or injury updates, you can count on us to bring you the most comprehensive coverage. Thanks for watching, and let's go Browns!